So let us start with one example. So here we need to find out the Laplace transform of x of t. So if x of t is 1 for all t here, so here if I draw the x of t, so that will be 1 for all t's. Okay, so this signal is like this. So we need to find out the Laplace transform of this. So now this is a double-sided signal, okay? Uh, there is a combination of left-hand side signal and right-hand side signal. So if I represent the x of t in terms of unit step, okay? Okay. If I represent x of t in terms of unit step, so that will be the combination of this u of t, okay, and u of minus t. This will be u of minus t, right? Okay, so I can represent x of t like u of t plus u of minus t. Generally, for u of t at t is equal to 0, value is 1 by 2. Okay, that's why when we add u of t and u of minus t, so here you will get 1. Okay, so they haven't mentioned in any textbook like this, okay, but generally u of t is having value at t is equal to 0, 1 by 2, average of these two, 0 plus 1, 1 by 2. Okay, so that's why the signal x of t is a combination of right-handed unit step signal and left-handed unit step signal, right? Now you tell me what will be the Laplace transform of u of t, anyone?
1 by s.
1 by s. And what will be the region of convergence here? Now, if you draw the S plane, right, and if you mention the pole is present at 0, na?
Yes,
So
sir.
what will be the region of convergence?
So right side.
Yes. So this will be a real part of S should be greater than 0, right? And what about u of minus t? That will be also 1 by s. But what will be the region of convergence here?
Less than 0. Real part of s less than 0.
Now, if you see these two signals, okay, so there is a no common ROC here, right? So no common ROC. So no common region of convergence. So Laplace transform of this signal doesn't exist because no common ROC is there. And if you see the linearity property, if we combine these two signals, okay, so ROC of the linear combination of these two signals, okay, so resultant signal will be having the ROC intersection of these two ROCs, but there is no intersection and no common ROC is there, so LT doesn't exist. Okay, so this is important thing. Laplace transform doesn't exist for this particular signal. Okay, now, so have you understood this?
Sir, can you repeat it once?
Okay. now this x of t is a combination of two signals, u of t and u of minus t. U of t is a right-handed signal and u of minus t is a left-handed signal, a left-sided signal. Okay. So this signal is a combination of these two, right? Okay. And in the region of convergence only Laplace transform exists. Now for this signal, this is a combination of these two. This signal is u of t is having the region of convergence greater than 0 and u of minus t is having region of convergence less than 0. So no common ROC is there. So that's why a Laplace transform for this particular signal doesn't exist, because there is a no ROC, common ROC for this particular signal. Okay. Because if I say this signal is R1 and this signal, region of convergence of this signal is R1 and region of convergence of this signal is R2. So region of convergence of x of t will be R1 intersection of R1 and R2. There is no intersection of R1 and R2. So no common ROC. So region of convergence for this signal doesn't exist. So Laplace transform doesn't exist. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, sir, frequency domain of such a signal doesn't exist.
You can't represent frequency domain representation of that signal. But generally, in practical system, what happens? All the signals are right-handed signal only, because we start the system at t is equal to 0. No? Okay. So all the signals, we will see that particular point, because all the control systems are causal systems. Those we will see that concept, causality and stability. Okay. So
Sir, you didn't share.
What I haven't shared?
Sir, these notes.
I have shared in Teams chat box. You can see that in Teams section. Okay, in your team. So SE7 team, I have shared all the document in PDF form, whatever I have covered. Go to Microsoft Teams and in SE7 team, you can find after the lecture whatever I have shared in replies chat section. Okay. So
Okay, sir.
Now, do you know the signum function? Do you know the signum function? Have you heard about signum function before? So signum
Yes,
function. So signum function is like this. Signum of t. So that will be okay. The signum function is like this. So this will be u of t, and this will be minus u of minus t, right? So 0. So if I represent a signum function, right? You tell me, LT exists. Is LT exists for this particular signal? Laplace transform. Can anyone? Is Laplace transform exists for this function? This signal?
No, sir.
Good. Because u of t unbiased region of convergence greater than 0. Similarly, u of minus t. So here I will represent that u of minus t. So u of minus t 1 by s region of convergence less than 0, no common ROC. LT doesn't exist. Okay. So this is an important point here. Now, generally what they do, if they talk about any inverse Laplace transform in control system subject, generally they consider it as a right-sided signal only. in control system. So when they mention this Laplace transform, for example, f of s is equal to 1 upon s plus 3 square. So their intention is that this signal is right-sided signal only. Okay. When they don't mention any region of convergence for this particular Laplace transform. So in control system, what happens? All the signals are right-sided signals with respect to time, right? Because we start the analysis at t is equal to 0. So whatever the response you will get as an output or as a input you are giving, that will start at time t is equal to 0 only. Okay. So if I given this as an input and this if I am getting this as output to the system, all these signals are right-sided signals. Okay. So generally they consider it as a unilateral Laplace transform, right? In control systems, when they don't mention any ROC, that signal will be right-sided signal only. In control system, I am talking about. Okay, so this is the important point here. So here we have seen they haven't mentioned any ROC. So there are many possibilities, like there are three possibilities, like a right-sided sequence, left-sided sequence, and double-sided sequence. So just for giving you the information, I have mentioned that thing. So now if you want to calculate the inverse Laplace transform for this particular Laplace transform, so they haven't mentioned any region of convergence here. So you can just calculate by considering it as a right-sided signal. Okay. So here I'm just making the space here. So now here you can see that so e raised to minus at u of t. So sometimes they don't mention u of t also because they consider it as a right-sided signal only. So Laplace transform of this will be 1 upon s plus a. So e raised to minus 3t u of t Laplace transform will be 1 upon s plus 3, right? Okay. Now you tell me if I multiply t e raised to minus 3t u of t with t, what will be the effect in the frequency domain? If I multiply t with e raised to minus, if I multiply e raised to minus 3t u of t with t, so just we have seen that in standard LT. Okay, t into u of t is what? One by s square. T raised to minus e, t raised to n into u of t is what? N factorial upon s raised to n plus 1. So what do you think if I multiply any signal with t, what will be the effect on Laplace transform of that particular signal?
Denominator square.
Okay. You take a differentiation of that particular signal. Okay. So that will be like, I will just solve it here. So okay. So that will be total if you take a differentiation here. So that will be 1 upon s plus 3 square. Okay. And what is the x of t here? X of t is this. So x of s is this. Okay. So if you multiply the particular signal in time domain by t, you need to take a differentiation of that particular Laplace transform minus differentiation of that particular Laplace transform in the s domain. Okay. So like that way you can apply that particular property here. Okay. So here consider it as a right-sided signal, find out the partial fraction and then take the inverse Laplace transform. Okay. So here just take the partial fraction. Okay. Right. So here you just mention it 2 upon s plus 1 minus 2 upon s plus 2 then just a minute. Okay. So what is the f of s here? Okay. Now you tell me if I consider this as a right-sided signal f of t, what will be the ILT of this? F of t will be
2 into e to the power minus t.
right. Good. And 2 into e raised to power minus 2t. And we don't mention u of t, but here you can mention u of t. Even if you don't mention, no problem. But generally it will be good to use. Okay. So this is about this. Now consider these two differential equations, okay, and assume that initial condition is 0. And find out x of s and y of s. Okay, Laplace transform of x and y. So here, if you consider, we are assuming initial conditions are 0. When we take a differentiation in the time domain, we have seen differentiation in time domain result in differentiation property we have seen. You just need to revise that particular thing. So we are just using the differentiation property in this. So we have seen the differentiation property here. Okay. So now if we see the time differentiation property, okay, so you just need to use this time differentiation property here and you need to find out this. Lagging somewhere. Okay, so now they have given that initial conditions are 0. So this f of 0 will be 0, right? So if we take a d by dt of f of t in the Laplace transform, we need to multiply the Laplace transform of f of t by s. And if we take a d squared upon dt square of f of t, then we need to multiply it by s square f of s. So similarly, you can use here this differentiation property, and you can solve this. So if we take the first equation, so here that will be s into x of s and minus 2 into y of s plus Laplace transform of impulse is 1, what? 1. So if I say this as a equation 1, and if we take a second differential equation, so that will be s into y of s equal to 2 into x of s. Okay, so you just modify it and put this value of s into equation number 1, and you solve it for x of s and y of s. Okay, so similarly, because all the control systems are represented mathematically using a differential equation, or if we talk about, if we generally study LTI systems, linear time invariant systems, so those systems can be represented using linear ordinary differential equation. Okay, so that's why this Laplace transform property is important when you do the analysis of the control system. Okay, so this is about this problem. So you can solve next steps. So that you just need to put this y of s into this first equation, and you need to calculate for x of s and y of s. Okay. Then fourth question is uh, del of t plus 3 into u of t. Okay. So you need to find out Laplace transform of this particular signal. Just a minute, what happened? Okay, so you need to find out the Laplace transform of this signal, del of t plus 3 into u of t. So what is the Laplace transform? Anyone can tell me? Anyone? What will be the Laplace transform of this? Del of t plus 3 into u of t. This is the impulse function, right? And this is a unit step function. Anyone? ठीक है. So if I represent the impulse function, so this is a del of t, right? Now you are doing the time advancement by 3 units. So that will be del of t plus 3 will be time advancement by 3 units. So here I am mentioning that. So this is 0, this is 0, and this is 3, right? And what is the u of t? U of t is the unit step signal. So u of t is a unit step signal, so u of t will be represented like this. Okay, and if you multiply these two signals, so there is no, if you multiply these two signals, what will happen? there is no signal exists, right? Okay, so Laplace transform of this particular signal doesn't exist. If you multiply unit step signal with this del of t plus 3, Laplace transform of this doesn't exist because signal doesn't exist there. Okay. So if you multiply these two signals, so this is the multiplication of these two only, no? So Laplace transform of this doesn't exist because signal doesn't exist. Now we will see the initial value theorem and final value theorem. Okay. So why these theorems are required? So if you want to check the initial condition of the particular system, okay, or particular signal. Similarly, if you want to check the steady state value of the particular signal, we need to use initial value theorem and final value theorem. So initial value in the time domain, okay, initial value in the time domain. So I'm not mentioning that here. So initial value in the time domain and final value in the time domain. So how to calculate the initial value in the time domain? So that will be s into x of s, limits s tends to infinity. Okay. And if you want to calculate the final value, x of infinity as t tends to infinity. So here also I am mention that at t tends to 0, at t tends to infinity. Okay, so this, if you put t there, so x of infinity will be equal to lt of s into x of s, sorry, that will be limit, as limit. Okay, so here that will be limit, as limit s tends to infinity and limit s tends to 0. Okay, so you can calculate the initial value by putting s is equal to infinity and solving this. Similarly, you can find out the final value by putting s is equal to 0 and solving this. Okay, so consider this example here. So this is the Laplace transform of x of t, that is x of s, and you need to find out the initial values and final values for this particular Laplace transform. So how you will find out? So initial value of this will be x of 0, limit s tends to infinity, s into x of s. Okay. So if I solve this, so s into 2s plus 5, s square plus 5s plus 6. Okay. So this will be, if you take s common, so that will be s square 2 plus 5 by s, then s square 1 plus 5 by s plus 6 by s square. Okay, so if you can, this s square will get cancelled out, and if you put s is equal to infinity, so this value will become 2. So initial value of this particular signal in the time domain is a 2. So this is the initial value. Okay, and if you talk about the final value, limit s tends to 0, s into x of s. Okay, so limit s tends to 0 and s into x of s. So what is x of s? S into
Sir, there in the numerator you have taken s square common, right?
Yes, oh sorry, s common, not a s square, because if you take s common, that will be multiplied with s, that will become s square, no?
Yeah.
Now, if you multiply s with x of s, so that will be s square plus 5s plus 6. So here value will be 0. Okay, so like this way you can apply the initial value theorem and the final value theorem. Okay, so this is important. Now you should make one note.
Sir, initial value theorem and final value theorem is signifying that from where the signal is starting and where it's ending. Is that it?
No, we need to find out the initial value and the final value of that particular thing. Means when we do the transient analysis or time domain analysis, we need to find out that what will be the value of the signal when t tends to infinity, means at t is equal to infinity. Okay, just like that thing. Similarly, at initial condition. So this value generally is called as a steady state value of the signal. Okay, so that will be helpful in that condition. Okay, so by using this we will be able to find these values, steady state values and the initial values of that particular signal. Okay, in time domain by using a frequency domain. Okay,
sir.
Now one note is here, the final value theorem of Laplace transform is valid only if all poles have a negative real part except simple pole at s is equal to 0. If we see this, if you solve this, if you find out the poles of this particular signal, okay, so you will find out that these poles exist in the right half of the S plane, right half of the S plane. So this, okay, so this final value theorem can be applied only when the poles lies in the right half of the left half of the S plane. So here, so with the negative real part. So here negative real part is negative in this okay, in this area, no? So that's why I will just make one space here and show you. So if the poles exist in the left half of the S plane, so at that time, okay, so those poles is having the negative real part. So at that time only you can apply the final value theorem. Okay, so if you talk about this particular system, so here pole exists in the left half of the S plane, right? So all poles is having the negative real part. So what is mean by pole? When we equal the denominator, poles are the frequencies. Poles are the complex frequencies at which this function will become infinity, right? And similarly, zeros are the frequencies at which this function will become 0. Okay. So for this particular signal, poles exist in the negative. Poles are having the negative real part. So those exist in the left half of the S plane. Okay. So this is important. Now consider this example. So if you can't apply the final value theorem to this signal, why? Okay, x of s is equal to s upon s square plus omega naught square. So where the pole exists for this particular signal? For this particular Laplace transform of the signal, what is the location of the pole here? Anyone? What is the location of the pole for this LT?
At the origin.
At origin. How many poles are there?
Sir, single pole.
No. So now if you want to find out the poles of the system. Hello?
Sir, when S square plus omega naught square becomes 0.
So this will become S square is equal to minus omega naught square, right? So this will be plus minus j omega, right? So pole will exist like, if I use green color, j omega naught and minus j omega naught, right? So there are two poles at imaginary axis at omega naught and omega naught location, j omega naught minus j omega naught, right? Okay. So real part of that particular pole is what? 0. Okay. So that is not a negative. So you can't apply the final value theorem for this particular LT. If you calculate the Laplace, if you find out the inverse Laplace transform for this particular Laplace transform, what will be the x of t? Can anyone tell me?
Cos omega tut.
Cos omega naught t into u of t. So if you see this particular cos omega naught t, so that signal will be like this. That signal will be like this. Okay. So as t tends to infinity, plus 1 minus 1. So at t tends to infinity, this signal amplitude will lies between plus 1 and minus 1 only, right? Okay. And if you directly apply the final value theorem on this, so what is the final value theorem? X of infinity is equal to limit s tends to 0, s into x of s. So if s tends to, if you apply the final value theorem here for this particular signal, so what you will get 1 upon omega naught square, but that will not correct, that value will not be correct, no? Okay. So this signal will lies between plus 1 and minus 1 as a t tends to infinity, final value theorem. Okay. So for such a LTs, you can't apply the final value theorem. So this is important note here. Okay. So what is the condition? A real part of that particular pole should lie in the left half of the S plane. Okay, negative real part should be there for a poles. Okay, so this is about the one exception in the final value theorem. So the next property is integration in time. So if in the time domain, if you use the integration in the frequency domain, we multiply the Laplace transform of that particular, we divide the Laplace transform of that particular signal by s. Okay, so f of s by s. So this is also one important property here, integration in time. So this will be helpful when we do the analysis of the electric circuits. Okay, so at that time also we will revise this. Now this causality and stability concept we will study after studying the causal system and the non-causal system. Similarly the stability. Okay. So, so we have covered the prerequisite which will be required for the control system subject. Okay, so we have covered the main important points of the Laplace transform. So that will be helpful when you do the analysis of the particular system. Okay, so now we have seen the open loop and closed loop control system. We have seen the examples for those also. Now, according to the there are different classifications, or we can say different types of a control systems. Okay, so we have seen linear and non-linear systems. So there are linear and non-linear control systems. We have also seen the time invariant and time variant systems. Okay, so how to identify time invariant and variant control systems. Then next are the causal and non-causal control system. We will see this. Then single input, single output control system, and multiple input and multiple output control system. This is another version. And then open loop and closed loop, we have seen that in the first lecture only, in the introduction of the control system. Okay. So we have seen this point. So let us start with causal and non-causal system. So what is the definition of causal system? A system is a causal if present output depends on, or you can say output, or no issue, present output. If present output depends on a present input and past values of the input. Means output is depend on the present value of the input and past values of the input, but not depends on the future values. So what is mean by this? Okay, and such a system is also called as a non-anticipative systems. Okay, so to understand this, let us consider the example 1. Okay, so if I put time t is equal to 1, so at t is equal to 1 time instant, this is the first system. Y of t is equal to 3t plus 2 into x of t. Okay, so if I put t is equal to 1, so y of 1 will be 3 plus 2 into x of 1. Okay, so that will be 5 into x of 1. So now you tell me here, output at time instant t is equal to 1 depends on which value of the which values of the input, present or past. For this example, present value of the input are here, y of t is output and x of t is the input. So output values is depend on the present value or the past values.
Present values.
Now here output is only depend on the present value. Okay. So we can say that this system as a causal system. Right? And if you talk about this system particular, if I want to calculate the value of output at t is equal to 1, so y of 1 will be minus infinity to 3 x of tau t tau. Okay. So now you tell me output value at time instance 1 is depend on which values, past or present values of the input or future values.
Future values.
Yes, because
Sir, can you
here,
re-explain it?
yes, I will re-explain it. Now, if you consider the example 1 here system is represented by using this equation. Y of t is the output and x of t is the input. So what is y of t? Y of t is equal to 3t plus 2 x of t. Okay. So I want to find out that is this system is causal, and why we say is this system is causal or non-causal. So we say that system is causal if present output depends on a present input and past values of the input. So for example, if this is output time axis, okay, y of t, and this is the input time axis, x of t. Okay, so now I want to calculate the value of output response at time instance 1, right? And if that value, if I want to calculate that value, and for the input, if that value here, if you see, that is depend on value of input signal at time instance 1 only. Here only amplitude gets changed, right? But time instance is the same. So here that is also depend on the present input of the input signal. Output values depend on the present input of the input signal. Okay, and if this output is also depend on the previous values like 0 or -1, then also it will be a causal system only. Okay, but if this output at time instance 1 is depend on the future value of the input, that is 3, so that will be the non-causal system. Okay, so here if you observe this time instance. Okay, so if you see that if you want to calculate the output value at time instance 3, y of 3 is equal to 3 into 3 9 plus 2 11 into x of 3. So here also the output value at time instance 3 is depend on the input value of time instance 3 only. Okay, so at the present time instance, and what is the previous time instance for this particular time instance? 1, 0 and -1. So have you understood? Not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So similarly, if you see here, if I want to calculate the value of y at time instance 1, I need to take an integration from -infinity to 3. So here 3 is a future value, you can say the future time instance is there. Okay, so that's why this system is a non-causal system. So this is a non-causal system, because output is depend on the future values. Okay, and generally all the practical systems are causal only, means at what time instant you start your system, like that way. And there are some like initial conditions are there, so we will see those points later. But now for time being, what is mean by the causal system and what is mean by the non-causal system, so that is important. Okay, now there is a single input, means depending on the how many inputs are there and how many outputs are there, there are single input single output control system and multiple input multiple output control systems are there. Okay, so if we talk about single input single output system control system, so this is R of t and this is C of t. Okay, so this will be the single input, or we can say scalar input, scalar output. So SO system is single input and single output system. Okay, and there is another system like a multiple input and multiple output system. Here MIMO system. So vector input, multiple inputs, right, and vector output. Okay, so this is MIMO system. In this course, we will study single input, single output system only, but for just for the information. And so multiple input and multiple output system. Okay. So this is the SI, SO and MI, MO systems. Okay. So these are the main classifications of the control systems. Okay. So we have seen the open loop and closed loop before, and these all are the dynamic systems. Okay. So independent variable here is a time. Okay. So all these are the dynamic control systems. Independent variable is time. So just before concluding this, we will just see what is meant by positive feedback and negative feedback. So in the first lecture, we have discussed this particular diagram of closed loop or feedback system. Okay. So so this path is called as a forward path. And this path is called as a feedback path. So we have discussed this particular system, control system, feedback control system, or closed loop feedback system for air conditioner, right? So this is a feedback path, we can say. As you know, there is a controller part, a system or process or plant part, and feedback part. Okay, and we are giving the reference input, and this is the error detector. Okay, so it is giving the error signal here. So that error signal is driving the controller. Now here we just discussed that if we apply the 25 degrees Celsius as a reference input, okay, so system will monitor the current temperature, okay, because this air conditioner want to regulate the room temperature, right? So if the current temperature is 30 degrees Celsius, okay, so your temperature sensor will take that 30 degrees Celsius as an input, okay. Now he want to give that feedback to the controller, right, or error detector. So if it takes 30 degrees Celsius as an input and gives 30 degrees Celsius as an output, so that feedback is called as a unity gain feedback. Means sensor is measuring 30 degrees Celsius and it is also giving 30 degrees Celsius to a error detector. And after giving that particular 30 degrees Celsius, error detector will calculate the difference. It will apply that particular difference to the controller input, and controller will drive that process. Process or plant, what is that kind of thing? So that is generally a process which is to be controlled, okay, or thing which is to be controlled by the controller. That may be a compressor, okay, in the case of this air conditioner, right? So or the process which cools or heat the particular environment, okay. So like this way that thing is there. So I want to explain here what is mean by unity gain feedback and non-unity gain feedback. So for example, if the current room temperature is 30 degrees Celsius, temperature sensor is measuring the 30 degrees Celsius, and it is also giving that particular 30 degrees Celsius, means that feedback to same feedback to the error detector. So here gain is what? Gain is 1. So such a kind of feedback is called as a unity gain feedback. Okay, where gain is equal to 1. And what about non-unity gain feedback? I'm just giving here example, okay. So temperature sensor output may be voltage or current, okay. But I'm just saying that just to explain you this particular unity gain feedback concept, I'm saying that the 30 degrees Celsius as the input and 30 degrees Celsius as the output. Okay, so just I need to tell you about the concept of unity gain feedback. Even if you directly connect this output to this error detector, that feedback will be unity gain, because whatever the output signal you are measuring, you are just giving to that particular error detector. So I just draw that unity gain feedback path. Like this way also you can directly connect it, and this is also called as unity gain feedback, okay. And non-unity gain feedback means gain is not non-unity in that case, okay. That's the simple difference here. gain is not equal to 1. So generally, in the problems, they directly connect this output to the error detector to show that that is a unity gain feedback, where gain is equal to 1. Okay. So this is the concept of unity and non-unity gain feedback.